The demand for labor is a derived demand. This means that the need for workers stems from the desire for the goods and services that those workers produce. For example, consumers want to buy delicious pizzas. To meet this demand, pizza restaurants hire chefs to bake pizzas and delivery drivers to deliver them. The stronger the demand for pizzas, the greater the demand for pizza chefs and delivery drivers. A firm that wants to maximize its profits will hire workers up to the point where the marginal benefit of an additional worker equals the marginal cost. The marginal benefit of an additional worker is the extra revenue that the worker generates for the firm. The marginal cost is the wage that the firm must pay the worker. Suppose a pizza restaurant is considering hiring an additional chef. The restaurant estimates that the chef will be able to bake 10 extra pizzas per hour and that each pizza will sell for $10. Thus, the marginal benefit of hiring the chef is $100 per hour. 10 pizzas times $10 per pizza. If the wage rate for chefs is $25 per hour, then the restaurant will hire the chef because the marginal benefit, $100, exceeds the marginal cost, $25. The hiring decision of an individual firm, when added up across all firms in the economy, determines the overall demand for labor. This aggregate demand for labor, along with the supply of labor, determines the wages and employment levels in the economy. The productivity of labor is a key determinant of labor demand. Productivity refers to the amount of output that a worker can produce in a given amount of time. The more productive workers are, the more valuable they are to firms. This is because productive workers can generate more revenue for the firm. One of the most important factors determining labor productivity is technology. Advances in technology can make workers more productive. For example, the invention of the tractor greatly increased the productivity of agricultural workers. As a result, farmers were able to produce much more food with fewer workers. The marginal product of labor, MPL, is the increase in output that results from hiring one additional unit of labor. The MPL typically declines as the quantity of labor employed increases. This is because of diminishing returns to labor. As more and more workers are added to a fixed amount of capital, each additional worker has less capital to work with and is therefore less productive. The value of the marginal product of labor, VMPL, is equal to the marginal product of labor multiplied by the price of the output. The VMPL represents the additional revenue that a firm receives from hiring one more worker. Because firms are profit maximizers, they are willing to hire workers up to the point where the VMPL equals the wage rate. In other words, the VMPL curve is the firm's labor demand curve. The labor market is where the supply of labor and the demand for labor interact to determine the equilibrium wage rate and the level of employment. The equilibrium wage rate is the wage rate that equates the quantity of labor supplied with the quantity of labor demanded. The labor supply curve slopes upward because, as wages rise, more people are willing to work. Some people who are not currently working will enter the labor force. Others who are working part-time may decide to work full-time, and still others who are working may decide to work overtime. The labor demand curve slopes downward because of the diminishing marginal product of labor. As the wage rate falls, firms are willing to hire more workers. This is because the marginal cost of hiring an additional worker is lower when the wage rate is lower. The equilibrium in the labor market is reached at the intersection of the labor supply and labor demand curves. At this point, the quantity of labor supplied equals the quantity of labor demanded, and there is no tendency for the wage rate or the level of employment to change. Land, labor, and capital are the three factors of production. Land refers to all natural resources, such as land itself, minerals, and water. Labor refers to the physical and mental effort that people contribute to the production of goods and services. And capital refers to the tools, equipment, and structures used to produce goods and services. The prices of these factors of production are determined in factor markets. The rental rate for land, the wage rate for labor, and the interest rate for capital are determined by the interaction of supply and demand in their respective markets. The neoclassical theory of distribution states that each factor of production is paid its marginal product. In other words, workers are paid a wage equal to the value of the marginal product of labor, landowners are paid a rent equal to the value of the marginal product of land, and capital owners are paid an interest rate equal to the value of the marginal product of capital. The neoclassical theory of distribution has important implications for income distribution. Because the marginal product of labor typically declines as the quantity of labor employed increases, the neoclassical theory of distribution predicts that wages will be higher for workers who are more productive. Similarly, the theory predicts that landowners who own more productive land will earn higher rents, and that capital owners who own more productive capital will earn higher interest rates.